2021 Volvo XC40, Audi Q3, BMW X1, and Mercedes GLA. Which small luxury crossover SUV should you buy? That's what we're going to find out. Welcome to Car Help Corner, where we help you, the consumer, master the process of car buying and car ownership. Small SUVs are extremely popular with consumers, but a lot of the mainstream offerings from brands such as Honda and Toyota are starting to get pretty expensive, to the point where the pricing is starting to tiptoe into the entry-level range of a few luxury brands. So if your budget stretches into the low $40,000 to $50,000 range and you're willing to compromise on size in order to get more luxury and more style, then you might have considered one of the small luxury SUVs like the BMW X1, Audi Q3, Mercedes GLA, or Volvo XC40. Now, the reason why I put these four particular SUVs together is because they fall into what I consider the short-term ownership category. Now, what I mean by that is that if you're the type who's concerned about long-term ownership costs, then European luxury brands such as these are best kept for a 4 to 5 year period, or better yet, a 3 to 4 year lease where you don't have to worry about long-term expenses. Now, if you're the type who looks for maximum reliability and low repair costs over a long-term ownership experience, say upwards of 10 years or longer, then make sure to stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to share some great alternatives that you can consider as well. So with that out of the way, let's start with my number 4 recommendation from this list, which is going to be the Mercedes GLA. Now, what is good about the Mercedes GLA is that it does give you a taste of Mercedes SUV ownership at a pretty reasonable price point. It has the Mercedes look, which a lot of people are drawn to, especially when it comes to the overall interior design. Considering this is the entry-level Mercedes model, the interior is very impressive and you get some great technology which is shared across the Mercedes lineup. The focal point of the interior is definitely the dual-screen infotainment system setup, which has amazing looking graphics and sharpness. You also get a lot of nice luxurious materials that are used throughout the interior and lots of impressive available features, including lots of active safety features and driver assistance technology. Outside of that though, there are a few things about the GLA that do put it at the bottom of this list for me. For one thing, although the infotainment system does look amazing, it is pretty complicated to use and has a bit of a steep learning curve. So if you're the type of person that's a bit intimidated by technology, you're probably going to find this system to be very overwhelming. Although the interior looks really nice on the surface, if you prod a little bit deeper, you might find that some of the materials are a little bit cheap feeling for Mercedes, and I did notice some creaking from some of the plastic trim materials. The interior is also on the tight side and it just doesn't have as much space as the other SUVs in this class. The GLA does offer a pretty good driving experience with good handling thanks to its small size, and it has pretty good performance from its 2-liter turbocharged engine. The turbo 4-cylinder makes around 221 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which gives it a good amount of power. The only issue for me was that it comes with a pretty jerky engine start-stop system. Now, I'm not a fan of this feature on most new cars, but I found the one on the GLA to be especially bothersome and annoying to use. And if you're the type who likes the ride quality of a car to be on the softer, more comfortable side, then you might find the GLA to be a little bit too firm as well. And finally, there's the pricing. Now, although the GLA does have roughly the same price range as the other SUVs on this list, it does have a higher starting price, and a lot of the options that most people would want do increase that price tag by quite a bit. The GLA is not bad if you're a big fan of that Mercedes look and feel, but there are other SUVs that do a lot of things better. So let's move on to SUV number 3 on this list, which is going to be the BMW X1. Now, compared to the GLA, the BMW X1 is definitely more of a usable, practical SUV with a larger overall size with more interior space and more cargo space. The interior is also more approachable and more easier to use with a lot of straightforward, simple controls for your basic climate control and radio functions, and you also have a more straightforward infotainment system with BMW's iDrive user interface. Those who find all the visually appealing technology to be just a bit too overwhelming in the Mercedes will probably feel right at home in the BMW. Now, while the X1 offers most of the same features and technology, the interior doesn't look or feel quite as luxurious as the other SUVs on this list. Everything just feels a little bit too basic and utilitarian, which is probably due to the fact that the X1 is the oldest SUV in this group. When it comes to the driving experience though, the X1 definitely doesn't disappoint. It's a great driving SUV with good handling and performance, which is something that BMW has always been pretty well known for. The drivetrain offers really good performance thanks to a 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine that makes 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It comes matched to a really smooth shifting 8-speed automatic transmission, and you also get BMW's xDrive all-wheel drive system. The pricing on the X1 is not bad, but again, if you add on a lot of desirable options, you can definitely increase that price tag in a hurry. Overall, the X1 is a good one to consider if you're the type that appreciates that straightforward interior layout, having a good amount of interior space, and a top-notch driving experience. If you want an SUV though that's just a little bit more well-rounded and up-to-date, let's move on to SUV number 2, which is going to be the Audi Q3. Audi's latest generation Q3 is just a really well-designed, stylish SUV, and I help a lot of clients purchase these who are just really drawn to its very attractive overall look. Not only is it a very stylish SUV, but it has a very well put together interior with some impressive features and technology. The controls and touchscreen infotainment system setup are fairly well designed, straightforward to use, and have really good looking graphics. You also get a second digital display behind the steering wheel for your gauges, but if you go for the top Technique trim level, you get Audi's full virtual cockpit, which is very visually impressive. The interior is also fairly spacious overall, making this a manageable SUV for a small family. The Q3 also has a really good driving experience with good handling, a smooth ride, and great performance from the 2-liter turbo 4-cylinder engine. Depending on the trim level you go with, you can get up to 228 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque, which gets you great performance, and there's also a smooth shifting 8-speed automatic transmission and Audi's Quattro all-wheel drive system. The pricing on the Q3 is also fairly attractive as well, and you don't have to go for the top-of-the-line model in order to get all of the desirable features. The Q3 is just a well-rounded, stylish SUV that does a lot of things extremely well, and it is a very good choice. But this is an SUV comparison, so I do have to give the win to the one vehicle that's the best at being an SUV, and that's got to be my number 1 pick, the Volvo XC40. If you're looking for a luxury SUV that just nails the fundamentals, then the Volvo XC40 is a really good choice. For one thing, it just offers the most spacious, practical, and family-friendly interior in this group, with a really good-sized cargo area, spacious back seats, and a lot of handy conveniences such as storage areas, grocery hooks that make this a very usable everyday SUV. Not only is the interior very family-friendly, but it's also surprisingly luxurious with really nice materials used pretty much everywhere and very comfortable seats as well. The control setup, which is the same one used in every Volvo, is based around a center touchscreen infotainment system, which is used to control pretty much all of the car's features. Using the touchscreen to control pretty much everything definitely takes some time to get used to, and it could use a little bit of updating in some areas, but overall it is a pretty solid system. The XC40 also has a really good driving experience with a very comfortable ride and great performance from the 2-liter turbo engine. The Turbo 4 makes really good power with up to 248 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. It also comes matched to a smooth shifting 8-speed automatic and standard all-wheel drive. The XC40 also comes with Volvo's legendary safety technology, and you can also get it in a full electric version with the XC40 Recharge. The Recharge model swaps the gasoline drivetrain for a very powerful dual motor electric setup with a large battery pack that's capable of over 300 kilometers of electric driving range, or around 210 miles. The XC40 Recharge doesn't have quite as much electric driving range as some other electric cars on the market, but it is still pretty decent and usable. It has really good performance overall, and it gives buyers the option of going green for those who want it. Now, the Recharge version is pretty expensive, so you are going to pay a bit of a privilege in order to go fully electric. But of course, you can save a lot of money by just buying a regular gasoline version of the XC40, which has a pretty reasonable price range. Overall, the XC40 is a really well-designed SUV, and it's a great choice for someone who's looking for an SUV that's a little bit more luxurious than the mainstream offerings, but don't want to compromise on anything, including space. Volvo also seems to have the benefit of being slightly better in the area of reliability versus other European luxury brands, including the Audi, Mercedes, and BMW, which are historically known for having very high repair costs out of warranty. If you're the type of person though that holds on to their car for upwards of 10 years or longer, and you don't want to be concerned with any expensive repair bills or reliability issues, then your best bet is to consider one of the alternatives on the market, such as the Lexus NX300 or the Acura RDX. These SUVs have some of the best reputations for reliability on the market, comparable to mainstream brands such as Toyota and Honda, and are your best bet if you're looking for an overall low-cost ownership experience. Let me know what you thought of some of the SUVs on this list, and if you want to share a future car comparison or car topic video idea, just leave a comment below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe, and if you need any additional car buying advice, recommendations, or help with getting a great deal on your next new car purchase, just check out carhelpcanada.com. Thanks so much for watching, and see you next time.